a student of IPNI International Business School. In this video, I am going to share about the global economy and international business with the facilitators, Bu Yulita F. Susanti, PhD, and Prof. Roy Sembel. Globalization is not new and significantly correlated with international businesses. Since the start of civilizations, people have already traded goods with their neighbors. As cultures advance, they were able to travel around the world to trade their goods for their desirable products and to obtain any resources they may want. This availability of these resources between countries is facilitated through international business. The content of this course will help us to better understand the significant impact and benefits of this global economy and international business to us, either as consumer, regulator, business practitioners, or investor. As consumers, we have access to a wider variety of goods and services, like technology. This handphone, laptop, educations, and even healthcare. Globalizations give organizations the opportunity to take advantage of lower level costs in developing countries while leveraging the technical expertise. This course provides a framework for making decisions in the globalized economy and poses wise judgment to choose the steps for entering the international business, decide on alternative financing, and consider the possible risk, threat, and opportunity. And finally, we can anticipate the economic and international environmental changes and how to mitigate the uncertainty and possible risks. Ready to learn with me? Let's begin from the introduction to global economy. Referring to this chart, there is an interesting fact about the long history of global economy. Innovations in technology allowed the hockey stick effect to come into play in the shifting of major power share of world GDP. First, it happened in Western Europe and North America through the Industrial Revolution. And now it's happening in the other part of the world, which is China. And they were the largest economies throughout history, are now making their big comeback. Next subject is about the new economy. This represents new market structure, new industry structure, new firm structure, and new business model as a result of globalization. And the forces which drive the globalization is again technology innovations. We also learn about three pillars of the new economy: cost reduction, better customer service, transparency, and competitions to get higher return. Disruption is everywhere. Joseph Alois Sumter shared Gales of creative destruction, mentioning that in the long run, the competition is not about the price and output which count, but competition from new commodity, new technology, new source of supply, new type of organizations, and new business model. That explains why the global business restructuring have frequently happened. According to McKinsey, talking about creative destruction, only 10% of the companies that survive because they prepare to the new S-curve, while the remaining of 90% who just focus on BAU or in the comfort zone will experience the declining of their businesses. From the history, we also learn that there is always opportunity in time of crisis. There are negative VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, but there are positive VUCA, versatile, upbeat, creative, and agile. Chinese proverb said that the rich people focus on opportunities while poor people focus on obstacles. The next subject is about comparative versus absolute advantage. This is an interesting concept to be understood. Some countries are better equipped than others to produce goods or services. Absolute advantage, talking about the ability to produce a specific product more efficiently than any other country, while comparative advantage refers to the ability to produce a specific product more efficiently than any other product. Hence, globally, goods and services are produced more efficiently when each country specializes in the product for which it has a comparative advantage. This theory introduces opportunity cost as a factor for analysis in choosing between different options for production to reduce the production costs, give cheaper price to the customer, increase the international trade, and finally, increase the living standard of individuals and countries. We also learn about the path of economic growth by Paul Romer, Nobel Prize winner in 2018 in economic science. It consists of investment in infrastructure, investment in human beings, and innovations. Next is about digital economy versus leisure economy. During the crisis, leisure economy like travel, movies, hotel decreased significantly due to lockdown. Leisure economy can be pushed via digital economy for marketing. We also need to be aware of some debates over globalizations, pros and cons to jobs, wages, and income inequality. Now we're talking about international opportunities. The first one, investment opportunities. This represents the marginal return on multinational projects, which are above those purely domestic firms, since multinational have expanded opportunity sets of possible projects from which to select. The second one, financing opportunities. The multinationals company can obtain capital funding at a lower cost due to their larger opportunity set of funding sources around the world. Second topic is about international finance. International financial management tasks comprise of, first, choose an ideal mix of capital structure. Second, raise fund for the firm. Third one, working capital and cash flow management. The fourth one, capital budgeting to select most attractive investment project. Number 5, managing currency risk including the exposure to exchange rate fluctuations. And number 6, manage diversity of international accounting and tax practices. And we know that trends move towards harmonization of accounting standard through International Financial Reporting Standard by International Accounting Standard Board. The international taxations that we need to understand: direct tax, indirect tax, and self-tax. We also learn about the international monetary and financial environment. Next is about exchange rate and exchange rate systems. Currency or financial risk is one of the 4 risks of international business. We will talk about cross-cultural risk later on. In this subject, we will learn the factors that affect currency exchange rate as shown by this graph. Relative inflation rate, relative income, government restriction on flow of goods and services. These 3 components affect the demand and supply of goods and services. We also have the risk perception, while relative interest rate, government restriction on capital flow will affect demand and supply of securities. These 6 factors will affect the demand and supply of foreign exchange and domestic currently, and hence currency exchange rate. After understanding the global economy, let's deep dive into international businesses. First, we talk about the context. The definition itself, the international business is defined as the business transactions between parties from more than one country. And why do we need to understand this? Most of us will work for companies that have international connections. Hence, we need to develop culture literacy and to keep in steps with management tools, production techniques, and technology that other countries are developing. Second topic is about theory of tariff and quota. The analysis of tariff and quota is called commercial policy. Tariff and quota represents restriction for imported goods as imposed by government to protect domestic industry. A tariff is a tax on imports. Reasons for imposing tariff are raise revenue, environmental reason, and protectionism, which make domestic firms more competitive. While quota is physical limit on import quantity. Quota comes in several different forms. The common ones are voluntary export restraints and import licensing requirements. Similarities, both reduce import and increase domestic prices, reduce domestic consumption, and increase domestic production. While the difference is, quota doesn't generate revenue for the government. Third, the level of international business activities comprise of domestic business, international business, multinational businesses, and the highest one is global business. How does the international business differ from domestic? Currency conversion are required, differing legal system, cultural differences, economic differences, and infrastructure differences. The next one, how to manage the process of globalization. Exporting, importing, licensing, strategic alliance, joint venture, direct investment. And the type of globalization comprise of globalization of market and globalization of production. The next interesting topic is about 4 globalization strategies emerging from the integration responsiveness framework, pressure for cost reduction and pressure of local responsiveness. And it is a strategic choice. First, home replication strategy as applied by Starbucks, Toys R Us, Netflix, and Microsoft. Second, multi-domestic strategy or localization strategy as applied by Nestle. Third, global strategy like Panasonic and Zara. And the last one, transnational strategy as applied by Roche, Unilever, Coca-Cola, and IKEA. The next topic is about the 4 risks of international business. First, cross-cultural risk, country risk, currency financial risk, and commercial risk. The next, we're talking about the dimension of international businesses. First, globalization of market, international trade, international investment, international business risk. The next item, we talk about the participants involved from firms, intermediaries, facilitator, and governments. And the last one, foreign market entry strategies. The next subject is about 5 essentials of successful global firm. Organization culture, visionary leadership, strategy, organizational structure, organizational processes. The next one is about foreign direct investment and collaborative ventures. Factors relevant to selecting location for FDI, political and government factor, market factor, human resources infrastructure, profit retention, economic factor, and legal and regulatory factors. Some motive for foreign direct investment. First, market-seeking motive, resource or asset-seeking motive, and the last one, efficiency-seeking motive. The type of foreign direct investment can be, first, greenfield investment versus merger and acquisition. Based on the nature of ownership, we have whole-owned versus equity joint venture. Or based on the level of integration, we have vertical versus horizontal FDI. The last but not least is about business conduct, ethics, corporate social responsibility, sustainability, and governance in international business, including intellectual property. There are some case studies that we have learned in the class. Nike versus New Balance is about trade policy in the world of global value chain. SeaKids in Qatar, responding to a request for proposal. We also have group event analysis about the impact of trade war, global pandemic, digital era, green or climate issues on international businesses. This is the end of my video. Hope it gives you insight and motivations to learn more about global economy and international business to equip us better to embrace the future with full of uncertainties. But remember this quote by Albert Einstein, in the midst of crisis lies great opportunity. Professor Roy Sambal, our beloved lecturer, also remind us of this Chinese proverb. Rich people focus on opportunities. Poor people focus on obstacles. Wishing you all the best in everything you do. Stay healthy. Thank you for watching this video. Bye-bye.